yeah, I just spend time as a father with him and play on the trampoline and ride his bike, and we just do some fun things together.
And he's happy.
Look, I definitely know he's happy, and he does occasionally cry from time to time, and more so when he has to go to bed. But I think one of the things that, and I've been told this too, of children with autism or with the disabilities, he's now getting to 10, and the gap is getting larger now. So everyone thinks, and he's very cute, but when you get to 13, 14, 15, 16 years of age, you tend to find that sort of image disappears, and he's now finding it very difficult to be around a lot of kids his own age because the gap is growing further and further. So, and that's when he ends up being more so with his carer, be it myself or Trish, who has him the other week when I don't have him.
And I suppose the greater concern looking forward, and for all parents in this situation, is once they grow from little children into adulthood, does it get more difficult for them to get the support as they are older and go into adulthood as opposed to when they're younger children?
Absolutely, Linton. And that's unfortunately one of the biggest bugbears we have in our disability sector, which, and I'm ashamed to say, of course, a lot of the stresses associated with it come to people when their children are around 40 years of age. I'm talking about adult children, and they're about 60, 70, 80 years of age, some of these parents, and every single one of them are worried about what's going to happen to their child.
Of course.
And we get a lot from our constituents, a lot of emails about that issue, and what is the government going to do about that in terms of accommodation, looking after their child. And dare I say, and we have seen it, that some people think the unthinkable, which is Tenderdal. And I'm talking about their child, which is unthinkable, but it does happen, and it's still out in our community.
So as a political party, I mean, are you looking down the track of trying to encourage maybe a move back to some more institutionalised care so that you know that they're safe, rather than we hear people with disability being put into, boarding houses and all of that, rather than an appropriate, people don't like to call it institutionalised care, but it's more structured care. Is that what the party's hoping to push for down the track?
Look, there's a move from one group of people in the disability sector and another, who one's opposed and one's for it, and it depends on how that institutionalised care occurs. And look, we know that there's a lot of abuse and negligence in the past in certain centres, and I'm not going to relive the past, but we know at Minda that there's a fantastic institution there that looks after adult children in that environment, and there's a group of people that are very for that. And there's also another group, as I said, that wants to get people with disabilities in that age group out into the community and have supported care. So, it's really up to the individual to choose.
Of course, and there should be options.
Yeah, and
that's the thing.
And that's
you'd
what
love to have a world where there's the choice, whether it's supported care in the community or the option of institutionalised care if that's not appropriate for the individual cases.
And our catchphrase in our political party is dignity through choice, and that's our prime objective, to make sure people do have their choices, and we know that there aren't that many out there.
One of the great things I've learned here, among many other things, never stop learning things, but doing the show is that, and being able to do stories that hopefully, like your party, bring dignity for people with disabilities. I've learned about the courage in this sector. There's an enormous amount of courage. Rick, I think you have that. You've not complained. You're very positive, which is wonderful.
I think at the end of the day, you have to look forwards towards the positives.
Yeah.
And if you dwell on the negatives about all of this, then it just gets you down. And we certainly are very positive now. And of course, our main objective was to get someone in Parliament, and that has happened.
Yes.
And
but be careful with her, because she's a wonderful girl. But you worry, and I think we all worried that what was being put on her shoulders, and you'd be aware of that. You're the president of the party.
At such a young age too. So, but maybe that's going to be a positive because of her vitality.
Yeah, quite.
Look, I think it is, and everyone looks at Kelly as someone that's going to change the world for us, and I've tried to mentor her in a certain way to say, look, you've got 8 years here. We don't have to fix all these problems tomorrow. And I think the excitement of her election obviously raised the bar, and all our constituents have written in emails and phone calls thinking, things are going to change straight away. Well, they're not.
No.
What our platform is, and I think Kelly has been fantastic in this, is to raise the awareness in the media, which is the first thing that she's done.
Quite.
And secondly, to put on the actual parliamentary floor the motion to rewrite the Disability Act of South Australia of 1993, which is totally outdated. And once that's done, we'll have a great piece of legislation to make sure that we can get a lot of the unmet need.
She's going to be hard to refuse, isn't she?
She's sharp.
And she is sharp, and she's got guts, courage, you see.
Definitely.
Julie from Broadview, our friend, rang to thank Rick for all he's done for dignity, for disability. That's nice. Thank you, Julie. And good on you, and good on you, Rick. Rick Neagle, our guest here, formerly of Norwood. Now, what do we think, gentlemen, on the fall panel? Wayne Carey. With Wangers, who else was inducted?
Tony Shaw, Collingwood Premiership captain, Ross Smith, St Kilda Brownlow medalist, and West Perth legend Stan Hill. I don't know about Stan, Lincoln,
No,
but
Stan's not one I'm
there's some big
dark
names there.
horse.
But,
familiar with.
well, Kerry was always going to be controversial, wasn't he? Because he's a bit like Gary Ablett Senior. This idea that whether his character warrants him getting in. No
Was
doubt
he
his football.
inducted, Ablett Senior?
He was. It took 4 years to get
Right,
in. I think it was
yes.
4 years it took him to get in. And part of the criteria is based on character, and that's why I guess they wavered a bit with Kerry. But, I'd have to say one thing, knowing Kerry's past, in a way, the game, he's given a lot to the game, but the game's given a lot to him too, hasn't it? I mean, in a way, it's probably saved his life, and he's found he's found great fame, but he's also found great meaning in his life. So, I think they've worked together. I think Kerry deserves to be in there.
I don't know. Is the character thing fair? Do we expect everybody to be choir boys?
Well, I don't know if it's fair or not, but that's part of the criteria.
Yeah, I know.
The judges have to look at it. But you're right. You should say, I don't know whether some of the blokes in the past would have got in.
That's right. And those of us without sin.
Let us cast the first boulder. Yeah.
That's right. In the Hall of Fame. What do you think, Rick?
I love the word ambivalent sometimes. That's sitting on the fence, isn't it? I actually think that the character is part of the criteria, and I think Carey and Ablett have definitely shown character in the way that they've
Reformed.
Yes, yeah. And that is a great characteristic. They are both two of the greatest champions of AFL or VFL formerly, but I still think it should be part of the criteria, but not essentially the whole thing.
Lincoln, what do you think?
Oh, yeah, no, I think that without a doubt, based purely on their football brilliance, they have to be in a Football Hall of Fame. But I suppose they were waiting to see both individuals in their own way trying to turn their life around from the depths that they'd got to, and both seem to have been able to start to tread the path
of righteousness.
Of righteousness, yes.
Just very quickly while we're on honouring, last weekend the Bulldogs Hall of Fame and Neil Saxey was
good.
honoured. They had their inaugural Hall of Fame. They had 13 players put in. They specified 3 moments of what they call Bulldog moments of the club. Their only premiership, and then when they fought off their merger with Fitzroy and what they call the Neil Saxey moment. So he and Janie went over there. It was good. It's good to see him honoured.
There's someone who helped dignity for disability.
Yeah, Neil's been a couple of our forums, so I do know of Neil.
Amazing man.
He is.